All right, so Marty showed up with the new LX 150. If you remember, a while back, this is Marty Parsons from the Shade Gap Woodmizer. We did a video out there and I had some audio problems with the camera, which was the first time that ever happened. So we won't have that problem today, hopefully. But Marty left early this morning, brought the mill. We're gonna get it set up. I'm waiting for a load of stone to level up. Like I said in the last video, this will be kind of a temporary setup till I get a building built for it, but it should work good. Now you've sold what? How many of these? 3 or 4 of these ones so far?
This will be number 4.
Number 4.
Yeah.
How many mills do you sell a year out of Shade Gap about, approximately?
A mill a day.
About a mill a day?
Mill a day, yeah.
No kidding.
Not counting weekends, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think of these LX 150s? They're pretty new. When did they start making these? Just in this spring, right?
Yes, this spring. Yep.
Spring. So this is kind of what I was looking for, something with some bigger capacity. I didn't go, you know, all out on a full hydraulic or anything like that. But this has the Debarker. It's got the set works on it. I think it'll be good for what we need around here. I think it'll work really well.
Power feed, power up and down.
Yeah, power feed.
25 horsepower Kohler gas. Carbureted electric start. 17 foot of cutting length, 35.5 inch wide cut.
35, yeah, that's good.
So it took me about 6 hours to assemble it.
6 hours.
Yeah.
So all we have to do here now is once we get the stone here, finish leveling up the spot for it. Here he has the bed rails together, everything. He sent me a picture the other day of it on a pallet. It's a pretty big pallet this thing goes. It's wide, it really is. That's good. I'm excited, I really am. All right, so there are the controls. The what Simple Set Works is on top. Now how's that work?
Yeah, Simple Set Works basically has an encoder for the up and down, so as you drop down, it'll figure every cut down. It doesn't add the kerf, so you have to add the kerf in. So very simple design, not a lot to it. And you can have 2 different settings in there, but you can change anything within a 16th.
Okay.
So you can use the arrows to change your setting, and it's very simple. Just change it, and it remembers where it's at. It has a memory to it. If you go up above it, it'll remember how much you lifted above the cut and come right back down to the next cut.
What is the saw kerf on these blades?
Actually, 96 thousandths, which is less than an eighth. Eighth is 125 thousandths.
I gotcha.
So we figure out the eighth just because it's hard to do the math at thousandths of an inch. This is a double hard blade. I'm running a turbo. That's what you'll be running. That's what I like to do. 739 hook angle.
Right.
You can sharpen the blade 4 to 5 times. Get about 500 to 800 board feet. It's going to be a higher number with the mud saw or debarker. That's going to about double the life of your band.
Yeah, I got the debarker. I'll show you that in a second. It's on the other side there.
Lubrication for the blade. We have a valve down by the engine. We have a valve here. There's actually the Woodmizer additives in this that Woodmizer provides for you. A lot of customers do use Pine Sol and Dawn, but that's something that keeps the blade clean, and that if the blade gets dirty, it takes the set out. So we try to keep the blade clean.
Gotcha. What are the ports for?
So we have a port here for 12 volt, just like a cigarette lighter. You know, you can charge your phone, but we also have a USB plugs in there.
USB port on a sawmill.
Yeah.
What in the world?
2.1 amp. Yeah,
that's
so
crazy.
You can charge your phone. There's actually a cup holder on the other side here where you could probably put your cell phone in there or put your water in there to keep you hydrated during the day.
Boy, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Huh. I never saw a sawmill with a charger on it.
I never did either.
Especially USB ports. Yeah. That's pretty neat.
Battery here, it's a Deca battery. It's a good battery. We have the sawdust chute here. You could put a chip extractor on that if you needed to, if you have this inside of a building or you wanted to capture your sawdust. Changing the blade makes it pretty nice there. Nice opening on that.
Yeah, I'll say.
Blade tension on this compared to the LT15, this blade tensioner is actually a hydraulic tensioner.
Okay.
We're going to run about 1,700 pounds on the gauge, which gives us a strain on the blade probably around 30,000 psi per square inch. Blade tracking's adjustable, but the odds you adjust it would be rare. We don't have any clutch here. All we're doing is tightening up the drive belt, which gives us about a 3/4 wrap on our drop pulley. which actually gives a good traction. The belt's is a double belt that's molded into one. Again, it gives you more surface area on the belt and gives you traction on that also. The spring comes down and keeps the band from spinning when it's at rest, so when you get to the end of the cut for safety, you're going to stop the blade and pick up and change your height again and then come back and start the blade again. So we don't want that band to continually spin while someone could be around the mill, so we have to practice safety on that. We have a loose fitting belt on the wheels, which we've been using for years, car back into the 1980s. Rotate the wheel belts, are very inexpensive. Belts are about $14 a piece.
Yeah.
You rotate them every 50 hours, take it from the idle side, bring it over to the drive side. We have sealed bearings on the wheels. Again, very few issues, if any. I don't know if I've ever seen one fail, but they seem to last a long time.
Right.
So here's our tensioning tool. And you can see we have a gauge here with a hydraulic tensioning, and we can change this, either release it or not in use or transport. Being that we have it on a trailer, we used it for transport today. Then we just increase the tension. We're going to run around 1,500 pounds. That's how I'm adjusting my blade tension. When I go to change my blade, I just back the tension off to 0, give it a couple extra turns.
That's easy enough.
So now our blade's loose. Take it right off and change it if we need to.
So 1,500, that's the number we're looking for to stall.
Yes. Yep. And then of course we just lubricate everything with Dextron 3 transmission fluid, any place that moves. Most of the parts are zinc plated, so reduce rust or painted. So there we are, we're at 1,500 pounds, and then we can store our wrench. So the wrench is always there. We don't need to worry about where we put it.
Nice.
This is part of the Debarker assembly. There's actually a circuit breaker in there if you got into a hard knot or something and you was holding the button over too much, it would actually trip the circuit breaker, so the circuit breaker's inside the little box. So you can just reach your finger up in there once you realize where it is, and you don't really have to take it apart. Just reset it with your finger, and you'll probably experience that at some point.
There's a button under there.
Yeah. So we have the 25 horsepower, which runs an alternator. It's a 105 amp alternator, keeps the battery charged up. Fuel tanks here. There's an indicator there. No special fuel needed. Just we do have to think about ethanol if we'd happen to leave it sit for 6 months or more.
I run ethanol free in every small engine thing anymore. I do. I started that a couple years ago and had a log splitter.
The engine's designed for ethanol, so we don't have to really worry about it. It's just when we store it. As long as we keep the fuel rotated in 90 days, we're good to go. If we happen to leave it sit, then we're asking for trouble. And usually it would take probably a year before it would.
My string trimmer, I actually had it in a video last year, so I didn't use it for 6 months. Ethanol free gas in it, you know what I mean? Literally one pull, fired up. It sat in the garage for 6 months. Yeah. Well, all we need now is a little bit of stone. Get this thing off.
Now I noticed that when it came in, the blade guide arm, these pulleys would actually slip. So these are actually on eccentrics. So I loosened this up and just brought that down a little bit.
I see.
And that, if you look in through there, there's actually a chain with 2 pulley systems, and that's what drives that back and forth. So if that would ever slip a little bit, just loosen up and then tighten the outside piece. And you can see I turned it the wrong way, and it brought the pulley up away from that rod. And I brought it back down to touch, and I just touched it down just a little bit more than it worked every time.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that when you're sawing it, you don't take the blade up on the log and actually touch it down to the setworks on it, because you could damage something.
Right.
And I have not experienced any setworks on this design, because this design is very similar to the 15. So what'll happen to, I know the 40s will bend, and that's got a bar up there, so it's probably not going to damage that. You know, I don't know what's going to happen. What will happen? Something's going to have to give, so you have to be real careful with it.
so what we've been doing, we got this thing all leveled up now. Now, you know, just sitting on stone like this, I'm sure it's going to move. I'll have to make more adjustments later on. But like I said, this will end up going on concrete in a building. But we have it perfect now. Each section has adjustable feet on it, but the frame is real heavy and it's rigid. It's real strong. So, you know, you move one thing, it's moving it somewhere else. It took us about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. Keep going back and forth. And then we put a string line across all those raised bed rails on it. Put a nut on each end. Then we used a third nut, you know, to kind of keep seeing the distance from the string to the rail. And so it's a lot of, you know, you're not going to level this thing up in 5 minutes, that's for sure. But it's good right now. Like I said, I rolled this stone in, good hard ground right here, but I'm sure it's going to move, especially with the bigger logs. I'll have to make adjustments every once in a while till I get it on the concrete. But yeah, that worked. I mean, you've never set one of these ones up, have you?
Nope.
That's the first. So you've sold thousands of mills. This is the first LX 150 that you've set up.
I did have it set up at the open house, but I didn't spend a whole bunch of time with it.
Yeah, yeah. So I just was, while you were at your truck, I just mentioned about all the different feet, how we use the string line there, and it takes time. You know what I mean? You're not going to do it in a half hour, but
And you want to make sure you utilize these locks. If you do actually move it to another location,
yeah,
you want to make sure you lock that saw head into that frame. You don't want that to come off.
right.
And we found out it was pretty heavy.
Yeah, yeah. That was with that extra. So we had what, two sections of rail,
Sections.
2 sections on. You saw the way I moved it up here. That was about max for the RK55. And actually, at the one point, I couldn't curl it anymore, and Marty just went the other end with all that leverage, lift up a little bit, and we got it in place. Yeah.